Okay, hey guys, welcome back to Beast Quest. Series 27 is officially out ever since yesterday, according to our time, on the 16th of September. Don't worry, DEVORA is on the way, but I finished GOROG pretty much yesterday, and I want to say this right now, it is a good, strong start to the series. It hasn't really dragged in any way that I could have thought, but I think it's a better improvement compared to Series 25, and Series 26 is basically a fault to that series. But I do like this setup of this series more compared to Series 26, 25/26, because that was that whole story arc of the big lie thing. It didn't really grasp me. This one's grasping me more, and we'll go to that detail in just a bit. So, like always, in-depth story analysis and my overall thoughts on this epic adventures. If you haven't already, make sure you've picked up this book before and reading it before watching this review, unless you don't care for spoilers. That being said, though, let's get to the story. Right. Tom and Eleanor tried to sleep, but couldn't. They were needed, as a strange toxic odor was rotting up the place. They found the source. It came from a metal box. Daltec arrived and opened it, revealing inside was a skeletal hand with a ring on it. The box was taken to Daltec's tower for investigation and would be later buried properly. However, Tom thought he saw the hand move. He tried to get the thought out of his mind, but it wouldn't go away. Now, I have a theory why Tom's having these visions. If you read that speech from Karadin, that Karadin is true, and it's true, and he was a master of the beasts, it would make sense that Tom could hear as he has gained this ability of a connection to all master and mistresses of the beasts from Krokol, I believe. So I appreciate the touch of continuity there. Anyway, Tom heard a whispering voice and heard Daltec cry. He smashed his way inside and saw a shadowy figure strangle his friend. The Phantom mocked Tom and fled with Tom in pursuit. Although I'll say this, he's easily the best villain look-wise and probably power-wise compared to all the other villains. Why? Because he's not an evil sorcerer type, it's something different for a change. He reminds me of a combo between Demon Eye and Pitch from the Gardens of the Rise of the Guardians. Anyway, Tom chases after him, and we see the Phantom can create his own shadow horse, which he can use to escape. Then the council gathers, demanding answers, which comes from King Mandor's son, the ghost of Prince Loris. He explained the Phantom was his brother, and he'd returned when they opened the box, meaning him and the Phantom, Karadin, are both from the Isle of Ghosts. We learn from Loris that he and his brother were masters of the beast back in the past. They had killed 3 beasts, but on their 4th, the final beast, Gargantua, sensed selfish vanity in Karadin, which he planned to exploit, to save his neck. He offered him power for sparing his life, and it wasn't that long before Karadin turned on his brother, killing him before making him a ghost. When Karadin returned, he wore Gargantua as a ring, and told that Loris died in battle. However, it wasn't long before the truth was found out, and Mandor chopped off his son's hand, banishing him within, and not wanting him to be reminded of this terrible event. Mandor instructed no records were made of this event, which I think is a stupid thing to do in case someone ever opens the box. Anyway, Loris explained that Karadin will resurrect the beast that he killed with the aid of Gargantua's power. He could control them and use their power to take revenge on Avantia. We also learn that every time Karadin killed a beast, it increases his power, which I assumed is Gargantua's abilities. He was first planning to raise GOROG, a Varkul beast, which I appreciate we finally get a Varkul as a beast. I mean, you could argue Anaret, which I see her as the ruler of them, and I picture GOROG as the muscle of that race. Anyway, we finally get the old team back, Tom, Eleanor, Silver, and Storm. That's great to see. However, the animals are sense danger, and Loris pointed them to it. So, all things good so far. Moving on. It was Karadin. As we expected, he had already gotten to the site where GOROG died. He began to his resurrection. However, Loris got into a fight with Karadin, while Tom tried to stop the summoning spell. However, Karadin was too much for Loris, and by the time Tom wanted to help, GOROG had awoken. One wonders why Tom doesn't use his shadow form to fight Karadin if he can't normally touch him, because there are 2 points where he could have done that, which he didn't. GOROG rose up and was going to attack Karadin until he used his ring to control the fiery fiend and reveal his awesome powers to our heroes. With a simple gaze, the enemy GOROG could turn up the temperature to whatever he stares at. This could prove useful in Battle of the Beasts. Anyway though, this forced our heroes onto the evasive, having to hop from tree to tree to avoid GOROG's gaze, while struggling to deal with the heat. Our heroes were majority throughout this battle on the evasive throughout the fight until Tom hoped the waters of the Forest of Fear could silence the fiery fiend near the lake. Near the lake, Tom used the red jewel to lure him closer, which ticked GOROG off. Tom timed it right and tricked GOROG into accidentally diving into the waters. This weakened him but didn't kill him. GOROG planned staring at Tom again, but despite the heat, Tom used his golden armor powers to boomerang his sword to finish chopping down a nearby tree, crushing GOROG. He tried to escape while he was suffocating, but it was too late. GOROG had been defeated. Tom claimed it was over, but Karadin implied he had only made himself stronger by killing GOROG. He reveals not only can his kills make himself stronger, but also the kills that his enemy makes too. Not to mention, he grabbed Eleanor, and she tried to fight back. He reveals his enemy's willpower also strengthens his powers, which means whenever our heroes are determined, he'll be getting stronger as well throughout the series. Book 1, and he already says the best. Yeah, it's book 1, and he's already easily the best villain to me. Anyway, Silver and Storm come in and scare Karadin off as he heads off to rise at the sea beast DEVORA, the deathfish. And that ends that book, with our heroes planning to beat him next time. As you can see, GOROG, the fiery fiend story alone, awesomeness that it is. But yeah, let's go through to the character portion now, and then I'll get over what's in this epic adventure. So first up we have Tom, and Tom, of course, being his usual stealth, he's a bit elusive of what's going on. Like, he's a bit, he like all the other good guys, like, I don't understand what's going on, I want to know. And since this is a new series for him, he's pretty much he's kind of out of his element. I mean, he still has his powers, but there are times where he doesn't use his powers fully, and I don't know why. I just wish we had an explanation of why he doesn't do that, like use his shadow ability. But aside from that, pretty standard issue for Tom. He still thinks of new ways to beat the enemy and finds ways to pull through. So I am happy to see that. I don't think either Tom and Eleanor really stood out too much in this book. It's just set up for them. So maybe there's potential development for them down the road. Same goes for Eleanor. Normally when it comes to this type of beast, GOROG this was mainly a Tom's victory. Eleanor was just really silent. I can't really think of anything major that she did that helped out, really. She was just there to support Tom. So for our two leads, this is not the best of character development, I would say. It's just like, if you're familiar with these characters and you know them really well enough, then this is a good first read for you. But if you don't want to see the bond between Tom and Eleanor, don't expect GOROG to be that book for you. Moving on to the one-off side character, Loris the Ghost. He's an interesting character because he's supposed to provide us with the exposition for Karadin and his plans. So I expect we'll be expecting to see him a lot throughout this series. That'd be awesome. I would like to see some more development for his character, and it is nice to see his background. So it is open, and I appreciate that he's willing to fight his brother, even though his brother's probably stronger than him, which makes sense. Going on to him, which is literally right now, going on to Karadin. Karadin, easily the best villain. If you look at some of the artwork in the book, you can see what I mean. He's got the creepy smile, the black eyes, the silhouettes. He's got this phantom look. Sometimes in the title he's referred to as the Shadow Man, but I think the phantom serves him better. And of course, yeah. But yeah, Karadin, great villain. The one I've said this in the story, but one of the few things that makes him stick out is that he's not the traditional villain that we get in Beast Quest, like the traditional sorcerer wanting type of power. He does want power, only this time it's not just a sorcerer; it's actually a phantom type of creature, and that makes him more intimidating. Something new, something unique. And the fact that there are sometimes we have beasts as villains as well, but this is something different. Because at this point in the story, it's hard to really say who's in charge. And what I mean by that is, when you go back through his background, it's like, oh, Gargantua was the one who poisoned him and corrupted him up to make him like evil because he saw the selfish endeavors of that character of Karadin. So is Gargantua you could say Gargantua is the mastermind and Karadin's just like the puppet. Kind of like, what was his name? Oh, Jezrin's Derek? Eric? I forgot his name. But he was Jezrin's Ferric? I don't know. But he was Jezrin's henchman, and then he moved on to Malville, I believe. And then he made his new body. I can't remember his name, but I know Adam's going to remind me. But yeah, so yeah, I hope, part of me says, as much as it's going to be cool to see Gargantua be the big main villain, I would rather have Karadin be the big main villain. That's just what I would like. But if it does come to the cliche of, oh, the real villain was Gargantua all along, I mean, that's fine, because like we already established that he only did to save his neck. And I'm sure that will make Adam happy regardless, because he loves his snake beasts, and this is probably going to be one of those big boss fights that's in. But yeah, so yeah, Karadin, it is good to see that all his abilities make him stronger. So like when he kills a beast, makes him stronger. When his enemy kills a beast, makes him stronger. Or even in willpower, which Tom and Eleanor have a lot of willpower. Whenever they get determined, he's going to get stronger throughout this series, which raises up the tension, I think. So it's a very interesting gimmick, and it creates like how can he beat? It explains why he was able to beat his brother if they're both ghosts. So overall, Karadin is a great villain, and I'm looking forward to see what more comes from him all his powers and stuff. And it's interesting that and it's cool because we never really have a Master of the Beasts who's evil unless you count Jakara, but Jakara's more of a victim. It is similar to the whole Jakara thing, only it's a bit different because it's more of a grander scale. Now, to be fair, Jakara is a better character compared to Karadin, but it's more of a how do I put it? I feel like Karadin is easy manipulated compared to Jakara. Jakara was like, imagine if Jakara was like a good wholesome person, and she was able to fight 60 years to contain that. But imagine if someone just wanted to be the title of Master of the Beast for pure power sakes, then we get Karadin. So I am curious to see how the hell, I guess I have two sons, and I don't want them to squabble over Master of the Beast, so I'll let them both have it. And that's when, of course, the bitter inner jealousy of Karadin was born. But it is nice to have a Master of the Beast be a main villain per se throughout the series, and I think it's going to be very effective. And I hope he becomes a continuous villain throughout the series. That'd be awesome. And there is potential for that because he is a ghost type creature. But yeah, and it all happened because someone opened a box. He was trapped inside, and they opened the box, and there we go. Anyway, going on to GOROG, there isn't much to say on this one, because GOROG is basically, he's kind of sidelined due to the setup of the plot, which is respectable for a series pilot. But for what abilities he does have, there is one point like someone, does this beast ever stop fighting? And I don't see GOROG as a non-stop fighter. He's more of an angry beast who, I wouldn't say he's egotistical at all, where he gets over cocky with his ability. He's just angry and has this ability in his eyes that I think anger helps fuel his eyes and the gaze, and that's how they're able to heat up. So there are ways you could figure out it. He's got a bearish design, and again, like I said before, it is nice to see a Varkil beast as an actual threat for a change. So overall, GOROG is a good starting book from the villain, for the background of the series, for the plot, and for the beast alone of what we're going to come across. So overall, I'm looking forward to the other 3 books throughout the series. Thank you for watching, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time when I get to the Death Fish. Till next time, peace out. Hey guys, welcome back to Beast Quest, Series 27, Book 2, Devora the Death Fish. So, continuing on, Series 27 is none other than Devora the Death Fish. As always, guys, in-depth story analysis, so make sure you've read this book before watching this review. So that being said, though, let's get into this. Our heroes learned how Karadin lost his hand via an ambush, which to me felt less epic compared to how it was said in Book 1. And it ends with the location of Devora being revealed to our heroes from Loris. Our heroes continue on to a grassland where they quickly avoid a stampede, giving Storm, the stallion, some story time. And after that, they avoid Karadin on a centaur back of Tagus, as it's revealed as he temporarily mind-controlled our heroes' beast friends to stop him a bit. Forcing... Anyway, though, but luckily, our heroes were able to repel and force Tagus back onto their side, making Karadin retreat. So, there you go. Of course, though, I feel like this is kind of a willpower thing, and if it is a willpower thing, that would give Karadin a boost, because one of his abilities is that he grows stronger either via beasts he kills, beasts that our heroes kill, or beasts... Or not beasts in general, but just general, our heroes have willpower, he'll get stronger that way. And if that was a willpower moment, he's a bit stronger now too. So anyway, though, Karadin retreats, our heroes progress onwards, they leave Storm behind as they progress onward through their adventure, which is sad because we lose Storm, but okay. Our heroes pressed on, eventually ditching Storm as it was unsuitable terrain for him. They get to the lake, bump into Karadin again, but it's too late as he cracks the lake, as you do, to release the next beast. Devora is revealed, and we see she is a swarm of piranhas nipping at Tom. Eventually, Eleanor gets him out of there, and by the time Tom has surfaced, Karadin has escaped. Tom, needing help, wanted to call Arcta, but was concerned that his friend would be under mind control as well. But it was a risk they had to take. So they did call Arcta, and he was fine, saving our heroes until Devora went big fish mode, because she can reform and deform herself. I should also mention that throughout this book you see that Karadin has specific control of specific good beasts of Avantia, as he was previously a master of the beasts, but now he's evil. It's kind of weird though, because he's now evil influenced, so doesn't that kind of contradict that power? Because also there's the golden armor, which is loyal to those of pure heart, but it's weird because those powers were affected too in this book. So that whole issue with the who's in control does kind of create a bit of a plot hole there, but it's still hard to understand, really. I personally wish they had avoided that, but it was only a way to amount tension in the book. So, it's there, though. So where was I at now? Arcta comes in to save them, and now it's time for Devora's big fish mode. In her big fish form, or piranha form, whatever, it's revealed that she can melt and create ice in water. The battle goes on for a bit until Devora has our heroes pinned down. Me and my friend Adam theorized that since both Karadin and Loris, the two twin brothers, had 3 good beasts each by the time that they were in control, so we've come to a theorization that Karadin can only control specific 3 good beasts, and Loris can control the other 3. Which wonders why he doesn't do that to help them out, but whatever. Again, me personally, I would have just avoided the whole the beast thing and the golden armor thing. I would have just kept the powers with Tom to avoid a continuity error. That's what I'd have done. But regardless, I was talking about Devora's big fish form and about her ice powers and all that. And she has them pinned down. Tom gets his second wind, fights back, and tries to stop Devora quickly so he can catch Karadin. But personally, I think he's already gone. Anyway, though, the ice was melting and a flood was heading to Colton, the nearby village. Silver sprung to the rescue, not wanting Eleanor to die, obviously allowing Tom to form a plan using Silver. And despite all odds, he hit the beast hit the beast's weak spot, which is her underbelly, and with the aid of Silver, obviously. Devora dies, and our heroes stop the flood with the aid of Arcta. However, because Tom used his willpower and killed Devora, Karadin has obviously grown stronger, and escapes once again, hoping to release another beast to continue his cycle of gaining more power. Eleanor assures Tom that with the power of friendship they'll win, ending Devora, the Deathfish. So overall, it is a nice continuation for Series 27. It does further develop the plot, and it kind of introduces how the formula will be throughout each book. You know, our heroes fight one of Karadin's creatures, they defeat it, Karadin's like, that was my plan all along, gets stronger, and continue the cycle to grow more in power until he has enough power to take advantage of it back and get his revenge. Kind of a more successful version of Kensa. So if those two villains ever team up, I felt it'd be very useful. But anyway though, good story overall. I did enjoy that there was more beast action. That's going to make Adam happy as we read through it together. And there was a nice few twists and turns around here. It is sad that Storm kind of got the shaft, but good overall. Let's go into the characters real quick. This is obviously more of Tom's story than it is Eleanor's, as Tom had a bit more to do. He was put in more danger. But Eleanor was there just to be a bit of a plot device, really, which is a bit sad. So yeah, Tom was more forward in the motor, but because of the whole Master of the Beast things, it kind of weakened him a bit. I feel like the GOROG weakening thing was enough. You didn't need to add on to that whole loyalty of the Beast thing of them and his golden armor powers. I feel like weakening of GOROG is fine enough. You don't need to add more stuff onto it to justify it. It's fine. Eleanor, again, she was only used as a plot device to thrive Tom forward and gain his trust, which is weird because they've all the adventures they've been on before this. You think she would have more faith in him. But still, she's just there to be a plot device and progress the story on. Silver, it was nice to see him get some spotlight after a long absence, and it was finally nice to come out of nowhere, leaping himself into danger, and put his life at risk. And he did help defeat Devora, so there was that for you. Gives him a nice moment to shine. It is sad that Storm didn't get a moment, but he had his moment at like the first half, and then Silver had his moment at the second half, so in a way kind of balanced it out. Karadin, of course, great villain that he is, as he's able to easily trick and use deceptive methods to grow stronger, to beat our heroes, because he wants... Normally in this type of series, in Beast Quest, you want the villain doesn't want his beast to die, but in this he does, so he can grow stronger, and even with willpower that he grows stronger, so he just wants to keep this endless cycle going on until he has enough power to take Avandia back and rule with an iron fist. I think he's one of the more unique, interesting villains, and it makes him stand out both on a look level of a phantom instead of another sorcerer type, as well as his plan. It's very continuous, because he could do this forever and ever, to be honest. So it's pretty awesome, I find it. I hope we do get Karadin more throughout more series, because he does have potential to do that, because he can be imprisoned, he's a ghost, there are ways for him to come back easy, so there is potential of having him, and I feel like if we had Kensa and Karadin team up, that'd be incredible. I would love to see that. So yeah, more further development for Karadin, explaining how his, at this point in Book 2, you have a better understanding of how his progression and how his cycle of how his plan will work goes forward. Moving on though to Devora, I was back to Karadin real quick. I was a bit concerned, like, why Karadin would probably leave, but no, he stayed, purpose just to gain more power. So that was that. Anyway, on to Devora. Devora, great beast. I was a bit like, yeah, this is going to be like the weak... Me and Adam thought this would be like the weakest of the lot. But no, Devora actually appears to be a non-stop fighter, fitting a piranha, because piranhas are known for nipping for their survival, and they're so determined to get food. So Devora proved quite a challenge, both in her swarm form and in her big form, where she was very close to winning until our heroes had those willpower moments which progressed the villain, which part of me feels like Karadin knew that was going to happen. So he used Devora to push them forward. Because I feel like he's using his beasts that he fought before to test our heroes' abilities, to see what willpower was necessary to pull them out. So overall, with Devora going on the way it did, and the fact that she can create ice and stuff, that proved her to be quite an impactful opponent for our heroes to defeat. So overall, Devora the Deathfish is both a great book, both on... It's not relying on setup, it has further expansion on the story, and it has more beast action going for it. It does have its weak spots, but I feel like its pros outweigh its cons, so Devora the Deathfish, easily the best book in Series 2 so far, and I think it's going to be a welcome contender to Battle of the Beast as well. So that'll be my review on this book. Coming up next, when I ever get back to Beast Quest, is RAPTEX, and then of course Gargantua eventually. So that'd be fun to do whenever that comes out next year, I believe. Thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you for more awesome content in the future. Till next time, peace out. Alright, hey guys, welcome back to Beast Quest, Series 27, Book 3, RAPTEX the Sky Hunter. As we continue on with Series 27 of Beast Quest. Doing great so far, bear with me, I just want to make sure I get out the next book after this, which will be Gargantua, because I need to read that later today, if all goes as planned. But yeah, we're on the next book now, which is, like I said, RAPTEX. Yeah, seriously, so just to verify, because I may have got my numbers wrong. But yeah. So, let's not waste any time, guys. So like always, in-depth story analysis and my overall thoughts on this epic adventure. So make sure you've read this book before watching this review, unless you don't care for spoilers. That being said, though, let's get to it. Tom and Eleanor head out from the area where they were defeating DEVORA. They bump into Loris, the good brother of Karadin, who explains while they're making progress, he's getting weaker with each beast battle they're having. Loris explains where RAPTEX is, and our heroes head out. Once there, they meet a boy who explains the route they would need to take to get to the beast's whereabouts. Tom pays his family to look after their animals. After some milk, they head out, but as they climbed up the mountain, they felt woozy. Turns out the milk was drugged. The goons took Tom's belt powers, but Tom broke free, fleeing with Eleanor. I should mention the Briders got the golden armor powers mixed up, as the breastplate was used to give Tom strength of heart, when actually it should be the strength of the chainmail. But as they carried on, they got weaker from the drugged milk. Silver soon joined their duo. Turns out he escaped, probably not trusting of the villagers. As they paced on further, Tom got into a confrontation with Karadin, who offered an alliance. Tom declines the offer, and just before Karadin makes an attack, Eleanor comes to his rescue. Using the strength of the breastplate, Tom climbs on. Looks like they corrected their mistake with the armor powers. However, despite Tom's efforts, Karadin released RAPTEX in a cave. However, after screeching, RAPTEX, instead of killing, flees from the cave. At first I wondered why, but I guess Karadin puts his own selfish grudges against killing the hero. You see, early on it was established when Karadin was human, he didn't get credit for saving a town. The warrior known as Bart did. Obviously jealous, he plans to send RAPTEX to destroy the town that he helped save, because he didn't get the credit that he deserved. Our heroes seem trapped until the young boy comes and returns the power belt along with Storm. He explains he had nothing to do with the drugging, and hoped our heroes wouldn't be so hard on his parents for their actions. Our heroes kind of understood, but they had other matters to deal with, so they headed off to the town where RAPTEX was causing destruction. After a bit of back and forth, Karadin ordered RAPTEX to destroy the statue of the warrior Bart. Tom stops RAPTEX by knocking him off course. Tom then challenges Karadin to single combat. At first it looks like Tom's plan is working, until Karadin catches on and reorders RAPTEX to continue the attack. However, Eleanor put a stop to it, knocking RAPTEX off course again and blinding him with a sail, causing RAPTEX to crash and making the statue fall on Tom. Tom broke free, grabbed the statue's weapon, saw RAPTEX flying away, but tossed the spear into the beast's hide. This made RAPTEX crash to his defeat. Tom ordered him to surrender, and he did. With RAPTEX defeated, Karadin just laughed and he made a retreat. Because as Tom turned, he now realized his victory meant nothing, as RAPTEX had died from his injuries, increasing Karadin's power. It seemed our hero's quest was only just beginning. Also, on behalf of Adam Ferns, my friend, bullshit on Tom saying this was one of the toughest quests yet. Because I'm sure Adam will say a few things about that as well as I did. But yeah, because there were way bigger stakes before this, and probably after. Anyway, though, onto the character portion. As for the story, I'll say this: it's not the best. It's basically go here, go to this location, meet the new side character of the story, then climb a mountain a bit, and then after they climb, after a few back and forth, they get to the cave. They come across RAPTEX. There you go. They come across RAPTEX, and they fight him for. What is it? No, take that back. He don't fight him. He just leaves. Goes to the town. Scuffle here. A few knocks off course. A little single grudge match between Karadin and Tom, and then the beast gets defeated, and it's just another stepping stone. But yeah, that's really the story. As for the characters, Tom kind of has the most arc out of this. When it comes to the heroes, he's trying to. He's trying to negotiate with Karadin at points, trying to trick him. Mind you, it goes nowhere, but at least he's trying to make some development. So there is a bit of that going on for Tom's character. Elena, while she doesn't have much of an arc like Tom did for this book, at least she did bail him out a few times when things got a bit stuck, a bit sticky. Where Karadin was making that offer, or RAPTEX was doing what needed to. Elena did help bring the beast to its defeat, so there's that for you. Benji is the side character of the story. He doesn't really do much at all aside from provide. Basically, he's here as a plot device. He's there to return the belt powers to Tom. He's there to provide exposition. So he's just there for moving the story along, really. He doesn't really seem like his own character more than he feels like a plot device. Karadin, of course, is our villain, just continuing on his usual shtick. We do get to see that, I will say this, in this book we do get to see more of his weakness, which is he is vain about himself, and he feels like he's entitled to stuff that isn't rightfully his, which is a few other villains as their flaw. But I feel like, I don't know if this was established prior, but I feel like this book may have been the most established of Karadin's weaknesses, so that might give RAPTEX some credit, as in the book. And then we cut to RAPTEX himself. Well, he's not the best beast, I will say that much. There are better ones in this book. I would say DEVORA is probably the best so far, but probably Gargantua will probably beat that out way of its course. As for RAPTEX, he really doesn't do much at all. He's basically the equivalent of a dog, which is funny because the first beast was a dog in a way. But think about it. Basically, he's a pet, ordered to do, just an obedient beast to do what he's told. So, don't fight the heroes, go over here, take care of my own petty grudge thing, which he could have easily done in the cave, but he didn't. Then a few back and forths with him riding around, and then he dies. Really not much to him, really. Sadly, RAPTEX really is kind of just there to pad out the series more. Like, you're just there to provide filler, provide a little distraction. Go here, go there. That's all you need to do. He does have a screeching ability, but aside from that, there really isn't much to RAPTEX. You feel, at least with the other two beasts, while they're stepping stones to Gargantua, when we get to him, at least they felt like their own independent stories. They're like, just because they were stepping stones to Gargantua, they felt enough character to the beasts themselves more than RAPTEX. That's what I'll say. It is a shame too, because RAPTEX does look like a good sounding beast. It's a griffin, eagle looking thing. And then, of course, its name, RAPTEX, which is a fusion of the two words of the two greatest dinosaurs, the raptor and the T-Rex. It is kind of a shame that and the title, the Sky Hunter. I don't really get the Sky Hunter at all, really. Because, if anything, the Sky Hunter is more Karadin riding around on him. Because, RAPTEX doesn't really have that. When I expect the Sky Hunter, I'd expect some sort of intelligent beast, but I didn't really get that. I got just another rawr, destroy thing. So, at least, I'll give him credit though, at least he did surrender. He accepted his fate. Anyway though, that's all I've got to say about RAPTEX the Sky Hunter. Again, it's not the best book of the series. This is probably the weak point. Yeah. So, coming up next, of course, will be Gargantua, the silent assassin, and I'm sure it's going to be miles better than RAPTEX. I am curious to see how the series ends, because me and Adam have been wondering back and forth who's in control, Gargantua or Karadin, because I believe it was established earlier on that Gargantua is possessing him. So I'm wondering how much of this is Karadin and how much of this is Gargantua. From what we've seen so far, especially in the last book, it has been implied it's more Karadin's doing, as it's his petty grudges against the warrior Bart and all that stuff. So it seems to be more Karadin. I know Adam would prefer it to be Gargantua's doing as a puppet master, but again, we'll have to wait and see what the final book has to offer. So that being said, guys, this has been my review on RAPTEX the Sky Hunter. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys for the finale book, hopefully soon, for that review, and then I'll put it all together. So thank you for watching. Until next time, peace out. Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to Beast Quest. Series 27, Book 4, Gargantua the Silent Assassin. And here we have another book with Beast Quest, and it's time for the finale of Series 27. So, like always, in-depth story analysis and my overall thoughts on this epic adventure. So if you haven't already, make sure you've read this book before watching this review. And with that being said, let's wrap up Series 27. After defeating RAPTEX, our heroes talk to Loris, who explains about Karadin, and that if he joins with the remains of Gargantua, he'll be even more powerful. He'll be even more powerful than he is now. So our heroes race off to the final location, Stonewind. Our heroes reach the volcano where Gargantua is supposed to be, and encounter Epos under the control of Karadin. As being master of the beasts, both Tom and Karadin, each of them control 3 of the original 6 beasts of Avantia, while Tom has the other half, obviously. Anyway, our heroes get into a scuffle, ending off with a killing blow coming from Epos. Luckily, our heroes defeat Epos, forcing Karadin into retreat. While Eleanor stays to heal Epos, Tom attempts to finish this quest once and for all. However, he arrives too late, as Karadin has reached Gargantua's body and begins the resurrection. This also unlocks a new form for Karadin, setting him up for a big duel between the two. Karadin and Tom go at it, but despite his new powers, along with the additional powers boosts he gets from Tom and Eleanor's victories over the beast they took out, Karadin was still killed off by Tom with a powerful sword slice, cutting off Karadin's arm with the ring on it, and turning the evil prince to dust. However, by the time Tom did kill Karadin, Gargantua was fully restored and tempted Tom with an offer of darkness. Sadly, the offer worked, and Tom returns evil mode to Eleanor's horror. Yeah, that must be shocking for Eleanor, seeing evil Tom once again after Series 24. She does her best to fight him off and gets her friend, and tries to get her friend back. And after some back and forth, both physically and emotionally, Tom struggles to resist the ring's power and wants Eleanor to leave, because he's trying to fight the ring and he's trying to give her time. Eleanor refuses, and seeing a moment she needed, she helps Tom pull off the ring. Gargantua attacks, enraged at her plan failing. Our heroes get pummeled, and Tom thinks about putting the dark ring back on so he can gain more power to defeat Gargantua, but Eleanor says no, showing that despite the fact that they need more power to prevail over Gargantua, she'd rather have Tom be himself than seeing that dark version of him again, which I can't blame her, like I said, after Series 24. However, of course, Gargantua is too much for Tom, and of course he gets crushed, so he's at killing point. Epos comes to the rescue, going into a beast brawl, which I won't say much about, as that's more of Adam's job than mine, Adam Burns to be exact. However, it ends with Epos sacrificing herself to defeat Gargantua, which is very sad and tragic. Of course, the sacrifice wasn't in vain, as it did do the trick. Gargantua was defeated, and the ring was destroyed. A funeral was made for the beast's noble sacrifice to save Avantia, and this also meant Epos's healing talent would no longer work. However, after putting out Epos's funeral torch, it reignited with the hint that she could have survived, or perhaps that there's because she's a phoenix, so she might survive, or that she had an egg, so there will be a new phoenix beast to replace that. But yeah, so there is an offer that, so I'm not sure if there's a new, if Epos is still alive or there's a new one. Does that mean that the healing talent works? I'm not really sure about that part. But yeah, there's the story analysis portion. And yeah, overall, easily no question about it. On a story perspective, you can easily see why this would be the best one. Gargantua being another attempt, a reminder of Series 24 for the offer of Tom's Darkness. Karadin gets his full-on arc wrapped up. And of course, Elena gets a moment to shine, as well as Epple. So overall, when it comes to a character proportion, it's going to be really good there. And I think I was going to say there wasn't really a side character in this book compared to other ones. So I guess that side character role goes to Epple herself, really, which is an interesting change. Normally it's a human being, but we'll put Epple in there for that role. So starting off with our main character, of course, Tom. Tom, of course, got the more moment to shine than this one, I would say, by a bit, because while Eleanor did help him out with that hint, and it was very close, I would say Tom got a bit more of the weight than Eleanor did on this one. Of course, he goes in to try and beat Karadin once and for all, while Eleanor deals with Epos and tries to heal him, or her. I think Epos is a girl, yeah, pretty sure. But yeah, so Tom tries to face off Karadin, and of course it goes as well as you expect for a bit until Tom manages to get the upper hand, and of course he's reminded of the temptation of darkness by Gargantua, and it is haunting to see that again. But of course Eleanor manages to help him through it, and there is a point in this book where we all know Gargantua is obviously going to be like a very powerful opponent, and Tom's thinking, if I put the ring back on, I could gain that dark power again, and I could use the dark power to be able to defeat Gargantua, which is probably what she probably wants, which I wouldn't be surprised. But of course, Eleanor's like, no, I don't want that again. I do appreciate that. Her character, she would rather have Tom be himself than have him gain the power he needs to possibly kill Gargantua, because that power comes with a price of having Dark Tom again. And of course, we don't want that. Mind you, my question is, if we did have the ring back on and somehow Dark Tom reappeared and he did destroy Gargantua, would the beast still be around? I guess it kind of would be, because when the beast was dead or in its remains, it was still able to corrupt. So I guess in a way it could still do that. So, but yeah, I do like that moment. So of course Tom resists, and they manage to pull through. Yeah, I'll take that back. They don't pull through. Well, they kind of pull through, but it's only because of Epos's interference. It's like, yeah, so without that dark power, Tom would still lose the fight. But he did the right thing, saying no to it, because again, thanks to Eleanor's efforts. So I think that was good character development for Tom and both Eleanor, which we'll get to now. Eleanor herself, very well handled in this book. She has her moment of healing Epos, of course, and then the big highlight is her trying to reface the Dark Tom and convince him what the right thing to do is. I am also, by the way, I do appreciate that Tom is the one to beat Karadin, of course. It, of course, is a shame that the villain gets taken out, but it may make sense for this one. But yeah, back to Eleanor. Great that she manages to have to deal with Dark Tom again, and that moment right there where she's like, I would rather, it's not really explained in those terms, but you can understand what she's saying. She would rather face this beast by them natural selves, even though they're not strong enough to probably beat it. She'd rather face them that way than face Dark Tom again. So that is probably a good highlight for her character. Let's see. Of course, there's also Epos and Karadin. I'll go with Epos next. Epos, of course, this might be her last book, but you never know with Beast Quest. They'll probably find ways to return her for the fans. But at this point, if this is her last story, she went out on a high note. She came in mind controlled, but she managed to. She got injured. You thought she was done. She came back, helping our heroes at a dark time where they could have lost, and it ends with a big noble sacrifice. And that sacrifice didn't prove to be in vain, as it did get rid of Gargantua and the Dark Ring as well. So, if this is the end for Epos, she went out on a bang, literally. But there is a hint that she might be returning, or she might have an heir. So I'm curious to see how that progresses. And I'm wondering about the healing talent, if it'll still work or not. So we'll see. And of course, on to Karadin himself. Now this is where I'll go into my portion about like how we originally thought this was going to be. That Adam and I thought that'd be like, oh, this is a puppet master thing, and it kind of is. But throughout the series, it's more of inclined that it's like Karadin in the driver's seat, as it's his personal. While he has the dark power, he's making the decisions to do what to do with the dark power. However, in the final book, it's back to Gargantua being in the driver's seat, like, yes, do this. It's like, so she's giving the evil vibes, but it's the person, whoever's wielding the ring, making the choices. Well, that's what we got of Karadin. But when Tom himself was possessed by the dark power, he was more of like, how do I put this, more mind controlled, because he was doing decisions that he wouldn't do. Whereas, like, you know, he would try to kill Eleanor, which is something Tom would not do. So that was more Gargantua controlling. I guess when she felt that Tom was a more noble heart, she had to take more control over him than whereas Karadin, it was more like Karadin was in the driver's seat, but it was, you know, she helped assist with the dark power. So, like, I could see Karadin wanting certain things done his way, but he was more a little hinted, but Tom felt a bit more mind controlled in order to get things done. Hopefully that makes sense. So it was sad to see Karadin go, but overall he had a good final fight, and he was one of the better villains in my mind of Beast Quest. What abilities he had, and I would say it is a shame that we didn't get to see, because like they said in previous books that he's able to weaken our heroes' confidence. He's able to gain the Beast's abilities from their fights, and we really don't actually see that play out in the finale, which is a damn shame. But on the other hand, we'll move on to the next map, which is Gargantua, the temptation snake beast, which of course, not only is it tough to beat, it's also, of course, this temptation of darkness that reminds Tom of the darkness that he once was, and Gargantua helps progress every character, the heroes, the villain, and of course Epos itself. So in a way, Gargantua, you know, because of Gargantua, you know, you're able to develop Tom, you're able to develop Eleanor and Karadin himself to make him more evil, and of course it gives Epos the strength to rise above it, the oppressor in this case. So overall, Gargantua made everyone else more impactful in this. And as for the Beast herself, she is quite a powerhouse. She does take quite a beating to take down. And overall, I think she proved I'm not going to say much about the fight stuff, because again, that's Adam Fern's career and job. Well, not really his career, but it's his role in Beast Quest books. So I won't be saying much on that part. And I believe he's got his review already up. So anyway, though, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed my review on Gargantua, the Silent Assassin. Even though I don't really get the vibe that it's a silent assassin, there were better names in this book, like the Iron Serpent, which is probably a more fitting title. But still, I had fun with this one. And I do look forward to the next series, Series 28, which I did pre-order. And that is Series 28, The New Adventurers, which implies that it's going to be new characters for the next series, which is a shame because we do like our original ones. But I'm curious to see what we get. So, thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Till next time, peace out.